Hello, good afternoon. Michael Wynn, Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Today, guys, we are going to talk about how can you get valuable consumer insight to help you craft highly effective digital content. I mean, in today's massively over noisy, there's so much stuff that's going on in our news feeds and on our email box. We're inundated with just information, fake news. There's so much stuff that we have to wade through to find what's important to us. I think it's important to look at. I've come across 7 overlooked resources for really uncovering that valuable insight of consumer insight that you're looking for that can really help you shape content that will create engagement opportunities for potential clients, as well as strengthen your relationship with your existing customer base. So let's dive right into it today, and let's talk about these 7 overlooked resources. You know, when we think about consumer insights, I remember the days of when we used to, in order to get real consumer insight, you had to spend tens of thousands of dollars to have a focus group put together to give you feedback on your product or service or brand, and that was, really the tried and true thing. Well, what's happened with the internet is all of this information is at your fingertips, but how do you get it? How do you access it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about in the next couple of minutes, what are 7 overlooked resources. So number 1, I think really one of my favorites is to look at Reddit. Yes, Reddit is an incredible resource, Reddit. If you're not familiar with that website and you are in charge of marketing or messaging, or you want to grow your business and try to figure out how are you going to move from where you are and move to sort of the next level, or just move the needle when it comes to if your sales are stagnant, or you're just not getting the engagement that you want when it comes to your content online. So Reddit is an incredible platform because it's all topic based. It's all centered around interest, and you can literally type in anything from paleo diet to hybrid cars or electric cars. I mean, really, there's no subject that's not being talked about on Reddit, and they sort of source the data for you based on the most comments or questions or topics that are being replied to. As the community favorites up the content, you really get the cream of the crop at the top. So Reddit is a fantastic resource to get your finger on the pulse of how does the public think about or view certain products or services. So Reddit's one of my favorite. Number 2 would be Quora. If you're not familiar with Quora, great application. Again, it's all a query-based application where people they're searching for answers, right? And so they're giving you insight into what they call your product or what they call your service. Maybe they're calling it something different than what you think. And imagine if you were to uncover what that phrase is, how that could impact your copywriting or your Google AdWord campaign or the opening line of your email marketing. That could have a really significant impact. So Quora is a great source. Then number 3, I think we're going to kind of dive into some of your own content. Surveys by far are a great way to gain consumer insight. You can put a survey on your website and look for information for potential customers that are visiting your website for the first time, and put a short little quiz up there, but gain that insight from the survey and then collect that information to help you really shape that highly effective digital content that you want. And then I think obviously your own content, especially when it comes to social. I think this is a huge disparity in what we see in social content right now. Guys, we got to stop just selling. It's like we're like guys and gals on the corner with bullhorns saying, buy from us, buy from us. And what we should be doing is we should be saying, hey, what's important to you? Hey, have you thought about how this keeps you up at night? Hey, what stresses you out when you think about this? You know, trying to put together content that elicits a response, and not looking for, you know, prospecting and selling right off the bat, right? Because the more engagement, the more questions that you can get or comments that you can get, the better insight you're going to have into how to overcome objections, or, you know, how to specifically position your company or your brand in order to meet the demand or the response of the public. Another thing is to schedule client interviews. This is another way. It takes time, but there's great value in that. So, you know, pick out, you know, 50 clients of yours and set aside 20 minutes for each client, put together your list, say, hey, I'd like to give you a call this afternoon and talk to you about a couple of things that are, you know, really important. I'd love your feedback. And take those phone calls, record the comments, and then gather that information as consumer insight. You will find incredible value in their content, in their response. And again, I know that, gosh, Michael, you're talking about spending a couple of hours. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because imagine doing that, right? It costs you a couple of hours versus spending a couple thousand or tens of thousands of dollars, you know, in a consumer focus group, right? Here's another resource: Amazon, Yelp, and Google reviews. Amazing place to go get consumer insight when it comes to products or services that are related to what you offer or what your service offers. You can really start to see there. You know, I love looking for the 1 stars, right? The 1 stars is where you get the real gold. That's where you really find out, you know, what pissed people off, what made them frustrated, and then flip that and use that to get insight into how to create, attention grabbing ad copy, or, you know, newsletter copy or headlines. You know, this is how you really gain that consumer insight. And then lastly, competitor comments or complaints, right? So look at your competitors, go look at their reviews across the various platforms that are out there, and look to see how the consumers are responding to, or, you know, lodging complaints against that particular business. What can that do for you? Well, if you take these 7 overlooked resources that are Reddit, Quora, surveys, your own content, client interviews, Amazon, Yelp, Google reviews, and competitor complaints and comments, when you take those and put them together, you've got 7 powerful resources to gain insight, consumer insight, that can help you shape your content. Because guys, that's the thing, and I've talked about this, and I'm going to continue to talk about this. When we stop being the judges about what is good content, and we let the market determine what is good content based on their reaction and their comments and their likes and their favorites and their shares, then our businesses are going to start to grow, because then we're really engaging our client base and our potential clients when we really leverage the insight that we can gain from that. But we're not going to get that information if we just throw up one single post or one single video or commercial. We're not going to get that insight. So it's really important that you leverage consumer insight to help you craft highly effective digital content, because when you can adapt your messaging and creative to the market demand, you really can create a competitive advantage. And that's a really underutilized, it's a fantastic strategy. We deploy it for our clients. It's something that we're continuing to focus on, and we've seen great return on investment when it comes to this strategy. So again, these are just a couple of tips that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you'll take these into consideration when you're trying to plan your digital content strategy. Thanks again so much. My name is Michael Wynn. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.